It's confirmed. We have multiple huge updates surrounding LeBron James and his future in LA as following what has been a crazy week and crazy offseason surrounding LeBron James and reports about him leaving Los Angeles. We have multiple reports, including one from Dave McMenamin and others, revealing the truth behind LeBron James and his feelings, and his future in LA has been confirmed. We're going to break that down and discuss what this means going forward, as well as a few other interesting updates. Summer League continues to progress and come to a close here in the future. But before we get into it all, folks, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Lakers content. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. You guys have been absolute beasts of the support. Now, obviously, LeBron James, this has been the big talking point. I had a video the other day on the Dallas Mavericks. Now, there's rumblings about him getting traded there. There's been a lot of new updates surrounding his future just in LA in general, whether he's disgruntled or not. And of course, with the Lakers, they need LeBron James to, or rather, most fans want him to stay because, of course, they're going for a championship next year. But we have a lot of reports. Now, we have one from Dave McMenamin we're going to dive into in a little bit, but I want to start with this here from Anthony Irwin that dropped. And it says LeBron James has reportedly been frustrated with the Lakers' lack of direction since the Russell Westbrook trade, per Anthony Irwin. And as per usual, it says Anthony Irwin, so take that with a grain of salt there as well. But it says on LeBron James' side, there's real frustration over the Lakers' lack of direction. The whole thing has become pretty awkward, and yet the reality is they're both better off with each other. There is no trade the Lakers would make that would give James a better chance at a title than he has playing with Luka Doncic. So a couple different things here. I'm going to dive into the Dave McMenamin report in a minute, which of course highlights probably the most important thing. But it seems that they're going to, despite there being some beef, I guess, or LeBron James not being 100% happy, all signs point to him staying in Los Angeles. And of course, it seems that he's been, frustrated since the Lakers trade when they traded away Russell Westbrook, which is very intriguing to me because at the point of that trade, once it happened, many people didn't believe that LeBron would be frustrated about it. And it's the opposite. He's been increasingly frustrated with the direction. And whether that's because he's unhappy with the AD trade, whether that's because he hasn't been in the loop as much as he once was because he's heading towards the end of his contract, or was, of course, opted in his player option this year, heading towards the end of his career. All these different things can be true, but it becomes very, very interesting now. And however, Anthony Irwin also says within the same article that he believes that LeBron will likely re-sign with the Lakers after this season with the intent to eventually retire in Los Angeles. So this is pretty, big news as well here. And it's funny because within the same report that he's saying he's been growing increasingly frustrated, he also says they're better off with each other. LeBron loves LA. He wants to, finish his career there. He wants to sign an extension after this year. Or, maybe even retire after this year, of course, depending on what his future holds. And obviously, that's still up in the air as of this moment because we don't know yet for sure. He opted into the player option. That's, of course, he didn't take a pay cut to remain in Los Angeles. He just took the player option as is. And you'd assume if you wanted to leave LA, that would be it would be interesting to opt in, even though, of course, it still makes some sense there on that front. But again, Anthony Irwin, he will likely resign in LA. At the same time, though, he has been growing increasingly frustrated. So both things can be true within this scenario. And obviously, since trading for Russ, which was a couple of years ago now, hasn't been happy with the direction that they've been going. And again, the full details are there as well. But Dave McMenamin also came out last night on, I believe it was on ESPN, and he said, which was a little bit surprising because there's just been a lot of stuff surrounding LeBron over the past few days, but he came out and said that this could be LeBron James's last year in the league. And of course, Dave McMenamin, he's probably the go-to guy for LeBron James news, has been for a while. Brian Windhorst, Ramona Shelburne, they've both been trying to, propose the propaganda that LeBron wants out of LA and that he's going to request a trade. Dave McMenamin has shut it down every step of the way, called out Brian Windhorst directly, and of course Rich Paul also saying that LeBron's not going to request a trade. Yes, he might get traded if the Lakers randomly want to do that. That doesn't seem to be the case whatsoever, even though he has been growing increasingly frustrated. But Dave McMenamin came out and said that this could be LeBron's last year in the league, which very intriguing because, again, his future at this point is up in jeopardy. Not in a bad way necessarily, but of course, 40, 41 years old. As he approaches that age, it'll be up to him to decide whether he wants to continue to play basketball or not, obviously. And if next year is his last year in the NBA, it makes sense as to why, Rich Paul and everybody's pressing for him to win a championship this upcoming year. But Anthony Irwin makes the perfect point here. Like, even if it is his next year, that's his last year in the NBA, next season and next year, Luka with the Lakers is probably the best possible chance you're going to get. Because, you think about the other teams that are involved. The Mavericks, maybe you could argue they are similar to the Lakers. You have Cooper Flag, you have Anthony Davis, you have Kyrie Irving. You can maybe make an argument there. But the Lakers will request a ton of assets back. The Warriors, I think you have a better chance with the Lakers to win a championship. So it's like, I think that it works best for both sides. Reports are coming out that he wants to stay, or at least that predictions are that he'll re-sign or either retire after this upcoming season. Because again, Anthony Irwin says he thinks he's going to re-sign with the Lakers and then retire, whereas Dave McMenamin said this could be it for LeBron. And of course, it all depends. We know, and there were some rumblings about him wanting to finish his career playing with Bryce before, or at least have Bryce get drafted prior to retiring. It's probably still, likely, and I still think that'll probably happen. But it's being floated out there now about about his last year, which is crazy to think about. And obviously, as the season progresses, I'm sure we'll hear more and more about it. But at the end of the day, this is a real conversation now. For the first time, for the first offseason, I think it's the time where it's actually real. This could be the end of the LeBron James era. This could be the last season for him. And obviously, it would make some sense given the fact that his contract will be fully up. He'll be a free agent. He opted into his player option this offseason with the intent to try to win a championship, whether that be with the Lakers or whether that be elsewhere, even though, of course, we assume it's going to be with the Lakers. And we know Rich Paul came out and said that LeBron wants to compete for a championship, and he knows the Lakers are building for the future. And of course, this is where everything started to stem from, and that he values a realistic chance of winning it all. And we know how this report went. This was right when he opted into the player option. It was some weird past tense language, but at the end of the day, despite all of that, LeBron just wants to win. The Lakers are probably in the best position to win, and most importantly, LeBron James hasn't had buyout or trade discussions with the Lakers, and there is no indication that LeBron James would request a trade or a buyout per Dan Wokey, and James is expected to be with the Lakers once training camp begins. So despite all the speculation, it seems at this point, all the reports came out. So I'm assuming these reporters got it from the same guy or the same source, because it seems like he's going to remain in LA for the foreseeable future. And who knows how long that foreseeable future is. Is it going to be just next season? That's obviously the big question mark. But at the end of the day, there's been a lot of different talks about LeBron, and it's all can be put to rest, at least for now. And of course, maybe things change in a dime. I'm sure the Lakers weren't planning on trading for Luka Doncic when they got the trade done, so we'll have to see what continues to happen there. But at the end of the day, it's going to be interesting, and the expectation is they will both be with each other once the season begins. There's also been some media coverage about how LeBron hasn't been covered fairly, and how people think that a lot of propaganda is being pushed, all these different things. However, at the same time, I'll leave that up to you guys to discuss. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on that. One other thing before I wrap up as well is the Bradley Beal situation. He, of course, signed with the Clippers yesterday, and a report came out from Brett Siegel revealing that Beal did not show a lot of interest in playing for the Lakers, despite the team holding extensive conversations with him and his representation, league sources told Clutch Points. So obviously there was rumblings about the Lakers getting Bradley Beal and how they were very serious. Ultimately, he signed I believe, a 2-year deal with the Clippers. It was around that the MLE. So, the Lakers could have moved things around and got things done, and we know the Lakers are actively involved. It's good to see that they had extensive conversations, didn't amount to anything. I think he wanted to play with the Clippers, always wanted to play with the Clippers, so I don't think the Lakers were a realistic option once it became, over the past few days, once the reports became clear. Would have made some sense, but again, reports came clear that he didn't want that, so interesting. At the end of the day, though, he's going to the other side of Los Angeles. But that'll wrap it up. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on this. Finally getting the truth revealed on LeBron James. See you guys later.